What's up, everybody? We're talking Spider-Noir. I was completely surprised by it. Going into this show, I honestly didn't know what to expect. My introduction to this version of the character was through the Spider-Verse movies, where Nicolas Cage leaned heavily into the over-the-top noir parody. So I figured the series would be more of the same, fun, campy, maybe a little ridiculous. Instead, I got one of the more interesting detective stories that I've seen in a while. I enjoy a detective story. I don't really watch a lot of noir stuff, and I'll tell you more about that in a little bit, but this was new to me, at least a little bit new to me, and I dug it. I didn't expect it at all, to be honest. I was used to the Spider-Verse, like I said. What surprised me the most wasn't the action or the superhero moments. It was kind of how serious they took the noir aspect of the storytelling. I was pretty skeptical at first. When your main character has superpowers, it's easy to let those powers kind of solve every problem, right? If I have super strength and I have to pick up a boulder, that's easy, right? But why investigate when you can just kind of punch your way through a mystery? But it doesn't do that, which I dug, which I thought was really neat. It has to let Ben actively be a detective, and he has to follow clues and make mistakes and slowly piece together some stuff around him, and the powers are there, but they're never kind of the main thing. I think that's what makes the show work. It was more grounded than anything over the top, or like, I don't know, WandaVision, or pick your Marvel TV show. I wasn't really sure how I'd like the black and white version of it either. I'm not one to usually go out of my way to watch a black and white film or a TV show, but this really felt like it fit the atmosphere. I figured I'd watch a couple of them and then kind of switch over to the color just to get kind of my bearings and see which one I like more, but I kind of just stuck with the black and white. I really enjoyed it. It adds so much atmosphere that it feels like you're watching an old detective film instead of just another superhero series. It gives the world a bit of its own identity, and I'd recommend it if it doesn't bother you too much, just to see if you like it. You can always switch back. One of my favorite parts of this series is kind of how it slowly peels back the origin story of Ben. Without spoiling anything too much, the mystery surrounding his origin and why he's different from anyone else that kind of also received superpowers. So every few episodes you kind of got a sprinkling of more and more of his backstory that I thought was really, really fun. The casting in this show I thought did a phenomenal job. I'm not sure I saw a weak performance in the bunch, and if you did, let me know in the comments below. I didn't catch it, but I don't know, I'm not perfect. Nicolas Cage, I think, did a great job. Instead of kind of playing loud and over the top that people might expect, he portrays kind of a tired and worn down version of this character who's seen a lifetime of loss, and there's more emotion there than I expected. Now, you do get some over the top moments, and like, he's still Nicolas Cage's when he needs to, but there was an undercurrent there of kind of sadness and loss, and I thought it added a dynamic that really benefited the character. Brendan Gleeson, who played Silvermane, boy, did I dig what he was putting down. I thought he did a great mafia boss. I very much believed that if he was angry with you, you're not making it out of the week. He did a really good job. Tombstone and Sandman, they did something for those two guys that I really appreciated just in general with villains. It makes them feel human. You kind of got enough of their backstory that it humanizes them. Now, they're doing awful things. They're doing bad things, so you don't actively root for them, but you understand how life kind of twisted and turned and kind of put them in a position to be the villains they are today, and that's, to me, makes the best villain. If I can empathize with where they're at, it helps me get attached to the character. If you're just constantly doing evil stuff, then I just want you to see you lose, right? But they intermingled the human aspects of those villains really well, and I really dug it, and they made them pretty memorable to me. Karen Rodriguez did a wonderful Janet. I really enjoyed her being Ben's assistant in the detective agency, and she was just a lot of fun on screen. I enjoyed that character a lot, and I hope she gets a lot of screen time in season 2, assuming there is a season 2. We'll have to see. Andrew Lewis Caldwell, he was the Lightning villain in later in the show. He kind of comes in midway through, and I thought he did a stand-up job. He was a lot of fun with his witty remarks and kind of just being over the top evil and unhinged. And I dug it. I could see why someone wouldn't, but it worked for me. So let me know if it didn't for you in the comments. There's another aspect that it's more storyline related, so I won't spoil it too much, but kind of how it weaves Ben's story and background into kind of what unfolds to be the main storyline of the show is pretty neat, and I think you'll really dig it. If you have to give it some time, because you don't really understand, or they don't reveal kind of that plot until I think midway through episode 4 or 5, before you start kind of seeing like, oh, this is where we're heading. But the whole POW camp trying to find a cure for the affliction that gives people superpowers, because it didn't bond so well with other people other than Ben, which I thought was pretty neat. It adds another mystery, some more emotional ties that I think people will really dig. Again, I'm not going to get into too much spoilers because that's a pretty heavy thread. The show isn't perfect, and I say this in the sense that if you wanted like over the top action superhero, you're not going to get it. So maybe isn't perfect isn't the right. It's just expectation setting more than is it perfect or not perfect. I think it's really fairly slow. And if you're okay with that pace, and if you can hang with that pace, I think you'll really dig it. If you can't, totally cool. This might not be for you. Just throwing it out there. But there are moments of action that I think will keep you tied into the characters if that's what you're there for. But pretty few and far between, but it worked for me. It took it, for me, like when I had to sit down and like watch the whole thing, is episode 4 is when I really started getting invested with the storylines. It took a while. So if you're invested in watching this show, give yourself a couple of episodes, see if you dig it, see if you dig the color, see if you dig the black and white, and then see if that plot doesn't hook you after a few episodes. I think for a lot of it, for me, in terms of like that pacing that I mentioned, is I don't really watch a lot of classic noir or those old school detective stories that I think this leaned heavily stylistically towards. So it was just new to me, that new style of storytelling. So I appreciated it once I kind of got into the flow of it, but it took a bit for me to get there. So where do I land on Spider-Noir? I'd give it a solid 4 out of 5 geeks. I think if you're looking for constant explosions and superhero fights, this might not be for you. You do get a bit of it, and it is fun, but it's not action-packed. At least I wouldn't call it that. But if you enjoy a good detective story, some mysteries, I think a lot of really strong performances from the whole cast, and a bit of a slower burn narrative-wise, I think you'll have a fun time with the payoff you get. As for season 2, I'm excited if we get it. I don't know if they've announced it or not. I'd have to look. But I want to learn more about Ben's origin, and I mean that in why is he unique? Why is his connection to his powers seem different than everyone else's in this universe? This season hints that his transformation was unique in the sense of how he bonded with his powers, because it wasn't so clean or like healthy, maybe is the right term, I don't know, than the other ones. And I know there's a comic inspiration and reasoning why, but I'm curious if the show goes that direction or not. I'd love to see them lean even further into the detective aspect of the series, give me more mysteries, more twists. I would love for him to get bamboozled, because even in the season 1, I'm not sure I saw him truly get tricked. I think he's always been 1 or 2 steps ahead, which I think is great for a season 1 to establish a character's like strengths, but it would be great to be subverted in season 2 and be like, okay, I'm not the smartest guy in this room. You know what I mean? I had a lot of fun with Spider-Noir, and it ended up being one of the biggest surprise TV shows of the year for me so far. We're in June, so plenty of time to go for the year to have more stories to be told, but I really dug it. I hope you did too, if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear whether you agree or disagree with me entirely. Totally cool. I would love to hear either way, your opinion below. Hope this finds you well.